Shalom Aleichem, friends of the Sephardic congregation of Hellendale. This week's parasha is Parashat Beshalach. The Torah begins as follows: Vahi Beshalach Paro et ha'am. And it came to pass when Paro sent out the nation, V'lo nacham Elokim derech eretz Plishtim. And Hashem did not guard the people in the more direct way, which was via the land of the Philistines. That would be the more direct way to Eretz Yisrael, Ki karovu. Even though it was close, or more actually, in fact, because it was close. Because it was close, Hashem did not guard the Jewish people in the more direct way. Ki amar Elokim, because Hashem said, Pen yinachem ha'am, lest the people be regretful, birotam milchama, when they see war, v'shavu Mitzrayma, and they return to Egypt. Vayasev Elokim et ha'am derech hamidbar Yam Suf. And therefore Hashem decided to take the Jewish people in a roundabout way, via the Reed Sea, in the way of the desert, rather than taking them in the more direct way to the land of Israel, because it was close. And the Torah is saying that Hashem says, because it's close, if the Jewish people encounter any opposition, war, which they certainly would, from, as Rashi explains, the Amalekite and the Canaanite, it would be so easy for them just to return to the land of Egypt. And Hashem says that He knows in His divine knowledge that the Jewish people would take the easy option out and return. And this is what the Torah teaches us at the beginning of this week's parasha. It occurred to me the following question: why does Hashem have to explain this all to us? Why doesn't Hashem just directly say, this is what He's decided to do? He wanted the Jewish people to cross the Reed Sea, as we know the miracle happened, and to take us in the way of the desert, to receive the Torah in the desert. And that's it, that's what Hashem decided. Why does the Torah tell us this whole mindset of God, that God decided not to take us via the shorter route, the land of, via the people of the Philistines to the land of Israel, because Hashem saw that we would have war and we would be regretful and it would be easy and close for us to return? What was the purpose of Hashem revealing His intention in this regard to us in the Torah? And it occurred to me the following thought: that there's a lesson over here that's relevant to our lives, incredibly relevant to our lives, and relevant for all people in all times. And Hashem is teaching us the following lesson. The Torah is teaching us the following lesson. And it's a very subtle concept, but easy to understand as well. The concept is as follows: one's success in overcoming adversity and opposition, and in conquering a situation, in advancing and overcoming a challenging situation, is directly proportional to the feasibility of failure, of the possibility of failure in one's mind. You see, when one has a challenge, and that challenge is difficult, if one feels that, you know what, why bother with this? Let me go back to my previous possibility. If the possibility of not overcoming the challenge and the difficulty is easy, if it's easy just to go back, then one is very doubtful whether one will be successful in conquering the challenge. If one feels that the possibility of failure, that the consequence of failure is so serious, if the consequence of failure is in one's mind not a feasible possibility, then one's probability of success in overcoming adversity and in conquering opposition and in overcoming challenges is infinitely greater. There's a beautiful example in the Torah where we see this principle emphasized. Yaakov Avinu did not want his children to take Binyamin, his beloved son, down to Egypt. And he refuses until Yehudah makes an oath. Yehudah says he makes an oath, and in fact he puts his own life in this world and in the next world at risks. Yehudah says, let me take the boy down. I swear to you, and I risk my life in this world and the next world. I am taking an oath that I will return this boy, and my life is at risk here. In this world and Olam Haba, I'm willing to give up my world to come. Please, Yaakov, our father, let us take Binyamin down. And Yaakov says, okay, after Yehuda takes an oath. And the question is, why? If he didn't want him to go down, what's the fact that Yehuda making an oath? Why should that make Yaakov feel any better? Why did he let him go after that? And Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Leib Bloch, the tells the Rov, explains a very beautiful and simple idea. And he explains as follows. Yaakov knew that if he would just send Binyamin down with Yehuda, if there would be an insurmountable challenge, if Yehuda would face a challenge, he would say, look, I did my best, I tried my best, I tried to bring Binyamin back. I couldn't do it. What can you do? We'll have to go back and explain it to our father. But once he took an oath, and therefore the possibility of failure in his mind was not a possibility. The feasibility of failure in his mind was an impossibility. How could he fail? Then Yehuda would bring out all the stops. He would fight to the end to make sure that he overcome whatever adversity and challenges, to him bringing Binyamin safely back to his father. And this is a tremendous fundamental principle in life. When we have challenges and when we have adversity, if we feel that the possibility, that the feasibility of not overcoming those challenges is okay, we'll go back, we'll remain in our comfort zones. So we won't succeed in that. We won't overcome those challenges. If that is a feasibility in our mind, that will be the greatest impediment, the greatest barrier to us conquering new challenges and growing. If we want to grow and have the inner strength and the inner ability to overcome serious challenges, which we all face in life, to really be successful in overcoming challenge and adversity, which we all face in life, the key to it is to create a situation, to see the possibility of failure in our minds as not a possibility at all. Because if it's easy to go back like it was for the Jewish people, they would never overcome those people. Hashem took them through the Red Sea, where they would fight harder because the possibility of failure was less. They wouldn't give in. They'd beg Hashem more. They'd try harder. They'd do everything they could. And this is true in everything. It's true in this concept in the context of a relationship. We all have challenges in our relationships with business associates, with our families, with our wives and husbands. If we really see separation and breakdown as a possibility, it's going to be very tough to overcome those challenges that we have in our relationships. If we see breakdown of the relationship as a feasible possibility, then it's going to be incredibly difficult to overcome those challenges. We will never be able to find the internal strength to find ways to overcome the challenges, to create the kind of relationships that we are after in our lives. And therefore this is not an easy thing, but it's a challenge that we have to know that the Torah is teaching us over here that the possibility and the probability of success in overcoming challenge in general is directly proportional to how feasible we think the possibility of failure is. And that's the challenge for us, to see the feasibility of failure in things that are really important that we overcome as really not feasible at all. If we are able to somehow entrench that in ourselves, that the possibility on really important spiritual challenges and relationship challenges, if we see failure as an impossibility, our chances, our probability of success is infinitely greater. This is the message that the Torah is teaching us. May Hashem bless us, that we are all successful in overcoming all our challenges, all our difficulties, all obstacles that we have in our way of growth. And our hishtadlut, our effort in this area, is to work on ourselves, that in our minds we realize that these things are so important that really the possibility and the feasibility of failure is really not an option. And with that mindset, Hashem will help us to overcome them, overcome all these challenges. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll all be more enriched and greater people and serve Hashem in a much higher way in the future. Shabbat Shalom.